Alright, now my favorite object in the third season is the one that is systematically destroyed in the most pivotal, the crux, the very center, literally the middle episode of the third season, the middle episode of the entire series, the episode Sunset, which is a masterpiece. Now, the most important object in that, in many ways in the series, even though again it is destroyed, is the thing that matters most, really, to a man in the mythology, whether it's, the horse on his fucking, the cowboy on his fucking horse, the robber baron with his big dick train, Henry fucking goddamn Ford, all those race car drivers. It's a man's vehicle. Man's fucking vehicle. That's why do you think later on Walter tries to get his fucking, he gets that souped up car, the big ass fucking dick. What do you think it's compensating for? He gets his son the big ass dick. They're revving it up. Remember that horrible scene? One of the worst scenes in the whole series, and it's filmed this way to be bad, is I believe it's in the 5th season, the episode 51, when Walter turns 51, and it's just like him and his son, like revving, and it's like filmed like a fucking hip hop video. It's supposed to be grotesque, because that's grotesque. But the RV was beautiful, my man. The RV was beautiful. Remember the first couple of seasons? Again, the most pure moment that Walter and Jesse shared with one another was in that RV. By the RV. We start tomorrow. The line that set it all into motion, And again, Breaking Bad it subverts and in many ways sometimes bolsters, but it taps into the Rip Van Winkle mythology. The man running away from his woman. Again, might not know the full story of Rip Van Winkle. It's a really good short story. Read it. It's like a man who escapes from his shrew of a wife. And again, it's not like she's being a good person, but he's like, oh, my wife's a shrew, so I'm gonna go run away off into the woods. And so he doesn't just fall asleep under a tree. He fucking ends up getting caught into this cave with a bunch of these manly he-men, a bunch of fucking Tim the Toolman Taylors down there in this fucking platonic cave, and he fucking just gets lost in there. And then it's not a good thing. John Wayne isn't the hero in The Searchers, spoiler alert. At the end, when he's in that doorway, that frame of blackness and light, he is a nomad, a nomad, a no man. You know what I mean, brother? But that RV is beautiful, alright? And I can use the RV as a through line for, again, why the main villain in Breaking Bad is capitalism, alright? Again, it's quick, you might not be able to notice it, but when they show Gale's room, remember Gale? I want to say that Gale, I really wanted to say that Gale was the hero of the entire series. You don't know how much I wanted to have to end with that, be like, hey, fuck you. But not really, because he's not there in the entire series, He's not there. He's only in the 3rd season. He's Sancho. He's the most innocent. He's the most uncorrupted. He's the kindest. He's the nicest. That's why he has to die. He's not really the hero, though. But in his room, if you look at some of his books, there's Marx is in there, and Lenin. There's and yeah, they're trying to code that, Gale is, libertarian and free thinking, but no. Vince is winking at the audience, just like he did in the X-Files episodes, because Vince Gilligan, oh golly shucks, now Vince Gilligan is a fucking, talk about fucking Groucho Marx. Yeah. So the first season of Breaking Bad, Walter and Jesse, they are serfs. They are serfs. They are feudal serfs. In the land of Albuquerque, they work under Crazy 8, they work under Tuco, they are serfs. But they don't want to be serfs. Because they're the white man, they're living on the white man's lie, the manifest destiny, you know what I mean, motherfucker? We're in the business of making an empire, you know what I mean, brother? Captain Cook, fucking Heisenberg, let's go, man. Fucking father and son, let's do this. Fucking Sanford and Son, motherfucker, running the junkyard, except we're fucking white. So then what do? They're just like, alright, we're gonna seize the means of production. We're gonna fucking get our own RV. We're fucking more brilliant than anybody. We're gonna do that shit. But no, what happens in the 2nd season is that no, okay, they are, but they cannot be independent. You can't be independent. You have to be co-opted by the corporation. That's why Gus steps in. That's why Saul steps in. That's why these vestigial remnants of society have to latch on. The parasitic relationship, the Ouroboros, the snake devouring its own tail. You know what I mean, brother? Like the eyeball and all the circles and shit. Do you ever really see a real snake in the show? Maybe once or twice, just in the background. It's interesting. Maybe in its absence, this is a presence. You certainly see enough of the critters. That wasn't what I was talking about. So then, what happens in the third season? Again, they try to leave. They think that they're just okay. We sold the brand. And they could have, but no. Walter and Jesse, they're unique. That's the whole point. That's the MacGuffin. That's the only thing that makes the plot make sense, is that they have to be kept alive because they are unique. They are ubermensch. They're not good people all the time, but they're the best at what they do. They're exemplary. Then they start to work in the lab. The meth lab. Underneath a fucking laundromat run by a bunch of immigrants, funded by a fucking fast food restaurant, fucking funded by shadow money of a fucking multinational conglomerate named Madrigal. Which, do you think it's a coincidence that it's German owned and that Nazis show up at the end? It's not. Because again, you follow the money long enough and it goes back to that, goes back to that stolen Jew gold, you know what I mean? It goes back to the Nazis, it goes back to the Snowpiercer, the little black kid being exploited at the center, you know what I mean, brother? Brock, you know what I mean? It's always a kid getting abused at the end. Which is why the RV has to get destroyed in the third season. Long story short. To actualize that. Their spirit being crushed in sunset, setting sun, house of the rising sun. Sun is setting, Gus makes the deal with the cousins, we're hanging. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but it's a fucking really good show. Broke Bad, Part 3. A Man Provides. Third season is fucking good, man. I'm not going to talk about Fly right now, the best episode of one of the great narratives. Like, that's just a stage play. I could just read that fucking script, but it's filmed with such a dramatic flair that, you have to watch it and experience it. But Fly is, I believe, the apotheosis, that whole middle fucking section, intentionally the whole end. It's, it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be the peak. That's the way Shakespeare really, really rolls. But spoiler alert, as I'm going to get into, Breaking Bad decides to say fuck you to the formula. Just like Walter White decides to say, fuck you to it being clearly the time where I should have called it quits. I'm going to keep pushing forward because this is my festering destiny. You know what I mean? About that Walter White supremacy dream. He makes a deal with the Nazis at the end. That's interesting. When Breaking Bad came out. Breaking Bad wasn't prophetic or anything. But yeah, the third season is immaculate. It's immaculate. Jesse goes through fucking... Not the hell that he goes through eventually. Like, that's the thing. Like, in the very beginning, if you remember Jesse's edit, so, and this is that moment of clarity you get, like, right immediately after you sober it up. No, before you fall back into the depression, you get a moment where you're just fucking raw. Remember when Sam and Walt, they're in their room, and it's like the curtain, it's like the light. It's so fucking heavy-handed. It's fucking black, white. And it's just Jesse going, like, I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. And that's when he really becomes the hero. Because he's the first person to say something honest. I'm the bad guy. And Walter, that breaks Walter. Walter's like, no, I'm not the bad guy. So that's why he fucking has his fucking that crazy breakdown in the fucking school. Remember that? It's like kind of slapstick. And the third season intentionally is a slow burn at the beginning. Because the plane just fucking, like, it was fucking absolute fucking karma. That should have been the peak. But what happens the way it always does is they go back. And I'm gonna talk about Gus a little bit more in the next part, but that brilliant music. Remember when Gus finally gets Walt to agree to cook again? When he clinches it, right? Walt was doing good. Walt was actually really trying to do the right thing. And again, he's not the hero quite yet. But like, he just melody. A man provides, and Gus was right. Ultimately, that's what Walt did at the end. Regardless of whether he is despised or hated even, And for the whole time, Walt was just protecting his name. his ego, his male ego. He would say this and say that, but it wasn't until the very end that he did the right thing by all of his sons, but that's not the point right now. So, Walter does have his first heroic moment. And this season is especially a Western. Just fucking, when he decides, and again, he snuck back in. He forced his way back into his home, and he fucking blackmailed and extorted fucking his wife so he could get it back. So he was in a position where he had everything. He had everything. He had the meth empire. He was making $3 million. He would have kept working. He would have been making millions and billions and billions of dollars. He was the best meth cook that would have been working there. I mean, Jesse had kind of gone out the game. Jesse was doing his own kind of weird. No. Jesse got back into the game because of Walt, clearly. He didn't want Gale because Gale was too good. Gale was too normal. Gale was too nice. Walt needed that son that was a manifestation of himself, And he sold him down the river almost. He sold him down the river, that thing with Gus and, the half measures. But then he's at the table and he realizes that Jesse's out there about to die. And he knows it because he hears the news story and he's smart enough to know what Jesse's going to do. And what does Walt do? The first heroic act of his entire life, the most selfless, because the very next episode he squanders it all. He goes out there and he saves his son Jesse, even though it means he's going to lose everything. He runs those people over and he cold-blooded shoots someone in the back of the head to spare his son the blood. And he saves him. That's beautiful. But then he fucking sacrifices him like a fucking Abraham and Isaac, man. So again, capitalism's still the villain, Walter White's still the villain. So who's the hero? At least of the third season. It's Hank Schrader. Tuco's teeth. So Hank Schrader begins intentionally as he was supposed to be just silly and a comic foil, and that's how he is in the first season. And then at the very end, he becomes villainous. He's redeemed into fucking ASAC Schrader, piece of shit. But remember how he's about to sacrifice Jesse, and he becomes Ahab and obsessive and fucking gaunt, and fucking trying to get Heisenberg. And remember how when he finally screws over Jesse, remember that beige suit he's wearing? Remember that? It's weird. It's the first time you see him wearing that. It's the exact suit Vic Mackey is stuck in the final episode of The Shield. Watch it. It's a homage. Dean Norris was initially chosen because they were like, hey, this guy looks like Vic Mackey. Yeah, it's going to be a parody. We're going to make him look like Vic Mackey. But then they somehow make him into a just as complex, if not maybe more of a complex a character as Vic. So Hank Schrader is the hero of the third season. You remember the shit he goes through? Holy fucking shit. His trauma, his PTSD, his male ego, everything is laid out there. And he tries to lie. He tries to fucking shake it down. He tries to fucking beat it. That's what Jesse is to him. Jesse, he's not fucking beating Jesse. Jesse doesn't know who Jesse is. He's fucking punching himself. He's punching him fucking self in the face because he's like, oh my god, I put my wife on here because of my obsession. I'm the one. Again, it's all fucking the real devil fucking and fucking Walter White doing this shit, but, Hank could have lied, and he could have maybe gotten away with it, but he decides not to. He decides, remember that scene? Oh, when he breaks down in the elevator, and then when he breaks down Marie, he's like, he breaks down. And he decides, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to face the music. And he does. But then because of other decisions, bad decisions that were made and didn't even know about, 1 minute, the cousins show up to the only real wild west shootout the show ever achieves, even though, again, it's an even Western. And it's amazing. It's brilliant. Again, Michelle MacLaren directed this. And it's, again, someone with hypervigilance and PTSD who has been in situations like this before. It's exactly what happens. And you think, and again, I thought, you're like, okay, this show's so bleak. Hank's going to be dead, or Hank at the end is dead. No, he's the fucking hero. He's the real fucking cowboy. For that season alone, he's the hero. And he redeems himself. And because he had redeemed his soul, God, again, Vince Gilligan, heavy-handed, God is there with that magic fucking bullet that perchance fell out of her pocket, that perchance they took from that fucking Cletus Van Damme fucking Shane Van Drell looking motherfucker. And boom. So, but he's not the real hero. We'll get to that later, next time.